Matt Powell Official is a young Earth creationist YouTuber who has taken it upon himself to, and I quote, debunk the entire atheist/evolutionist community, not just one or two, every single one of them. Anna Campbell is a vlogger who makes a variety of different videos on a variety of different topics. Why are you telling me all this, Dan, is probably going through your minds right about now. But worry not, because these two YouTubers, who are worlds apart, collided. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Sciman Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, some news. This channel is fast approaching 100 million total views. We're on about 98, 99 million. Now I want to do something to celebrate that fact, but at the moment I'm not sure what. So there is a poll right now on the community page. Do please go take a look, vote for what you want to see, or even comment underneath on what you would like to see to celebrate the 100 million total views for the channel. Oh, and while we're here, 56 million of those views were from people who weren't subscribed. So if you watch and you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because then you won't miss any new videos. Right, on with today's Tinfoil Tuesday, where Matt Powell Official has taken it upon himself to debunk all atheists, and he set his sights on vlogger Anna Campbell. Let's check in with Matt as he starts to have a dig at her video.
So let's talk about the universe, shall we? The universe, as we know it, was created by what is known as the Big Bang, or so we believe. The Big Bang is the belief that the universe essentially came from nothing. And that's hard to understand, because how could something so enormous and, significant and just magical come from nothing?
It's funny how she words this. She says, I just don't understand how, this world could come from nothing. That's because it's not understandable, because it's not true.
Well, we don't necessarily know that it came from nothing. There could have been something. Of course, that something could have come from nothing as well, but you know what I mean.
Truth is things that we can understand. Truth is what we can demonstrate, what the facts are.
I don't understand much about particle physics. It doesn't mean that it's not true.
And so, I love it when YouTubers put out videos like this, because it really demonstrates how, and even atheists that put out videos like this, it really demonstrates how what they believe is flawed as far as the scientific method goes. So, just to debunk this using scientific fact, the first law of thermodynamics states that matter cannot be created nor destroyed. It's known as the conservation of matter and energy. And so if at one point there was no time, space, or matter, time, space, and matter cannot magically create itself.
Me old china plate, I think you've gone and debunked yourself there. But before we get into that, the Big Bang Theory does not specifically talk about the creation of the universe. It's more about the evolution of it. And if you are a proponent of the first law of thermodynamics, then where did all the energy and matter come from during the creation of Earth in Genesis?
There has to be an external force. And so I always like to ask atheists, do you believe that an external force created time, space, and matter, something outside of the laws of physics? Or do you believe that time, space, and matter popped into existence naturalistically and magically?
I think the universe began in circumstances that are still not known to us. We know a hell of a lot about the first few seconds, milliseconds, microseconds, even before that, after the Big Bang. Before that, though, we know very, very little.
Because if it was a naturalistic creation, it would have been a magic act. So, you have to ask the question, what is magical? Somebody creating the universe, or matter and energy creating itself from nothing?
The first one, because where did that someone come from that created the universe?
And so, this YouTuber here, she seems like she might be moldable. She seems like she might be honest. And she seems to be fairly sincere. And so hopefully Anna, if you're watching this video, I'd just encourage you to watch this whole episode from start to finish, because we want to share what the facts are with you here today.
Pretty sure she isn't watching.
However, we do know that there was a moment of creation, of course. And as I said, it was once believed that our entire universe, not just Earth, not just our solar system, not just our galaxy, everything, our entire universe was once this big.
And that is what scientists say. And that's what a lot of people will say about the Big Bang Theory, is that everything was condensed down to an infinitesimal amount of space smaller than a single proton. And then in a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second, it went from the size of that tiny point to something billions of miles across.
I think you've slightly exaggerated the time and the distance there. After about 1 second, it was a few light years across.
And so, water, for example, can only be compressed down to a certain point. It can hardly be compressed at all. And so there are 326 million trillion gallons of water here on Earth alone. And so, is it really rational? Is it really logical? Is it really scientific to say that 326 million trillion gallons of water was condensed down to a space this small?
And you've just exposed yourself right there, Matt. Hey, Jonathan, what would you say if I told you that water existed as a molecule at the moment of the Big Bang?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
Exactly. Right at that very beginning, the universe was too hot and too dense for electrons to be able to attach themselves to nuclei to form stable atoms. Water was nowhere near close to becoming a thing that early in the universe's life.
I would definitely venture to say that, if you truly believe this, if you believe what you're saying, that all the matter was condensed down to an infinitesimal amount of space that we observe here in the universe, all of this matter, I would really encourage you to re-examine your position on that.
And if you genuinely think that the universe was created in 6 days, then I would ask you to rethink your position on that.
We'll go ahead and continue here.
The chances of just a mega bang or explosion creating, what's essential for life, living creatures, is just slim to none for me. It seems unbelievable if that.
It definitely is unbelievable because there's no truth to it. See, if there was any truth to it, it would be believable. Like I said earlier, the truth is what we can show to be true. Truth is that which corresponds to reality. And so, if the Big Bang was based on fact, then you wouldn't say, oh, this is so unbelievable. But since it's based in a fantasy, you will say, it is unbelievable that this could be the case. You'll claim that it's unbelievable because you yourself are aware that this is something that was created as a fantasy, just as Charles Darwin said that he was afraid he was living in a fantasy. The Big Bang itself is obviously a fantasy.
Let's get one thing right here, Matt. The universe couldn't give two turds whether or not humans understand it. It came into existence and it will go out of existence quite happily without human beings knowing every single little thing about it. We are just trying to understand the universe as best we can, and so far I think we've done a pretty good job. You want to do better? Write a paper, get it peer reviewed.
Made up by people who were very superstitious and didn't understand how the world works or what the universe is all about or what the scientific method is about. And so we'll go ahead and continue on here.
It is proven that the universe was much smaller. It is theorized that it was actually the size of a grain of sand at one point. A grain of sand. But that small grain of sand that was once our universe had to have enough energy to set off that moment of creation.
So obviously you say that this little grain of sand, which was next to nothing at that point, would have had to have energy to be able to explode. Well, the conservation of matter and energy says that matter cannot be created or destroyed. And that goes with energy as well. Energy can only be converted. And so what you're saying is that magically energy created itself, or energy came into being from nothing, which we know cannot happen scientifically.
No, I don't think she's saying that at all. You are saying that. She is trying to grasp what cosmology is all about, and she's voicing her thoughts as she's thinking it through. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. She doesn't need Matt Powell official poo-pooing her as she goes through it.
It is scientifically impossible to go from nothing to something. So only the lawgiver of the first law of thermodynamics could operate outside of the laws of thermodynamics to bring matter and energy into existence.
The laws of thermodynamics weren't invented. They are a phenomena which we discovered and then gave a name to in order to better understand it.
That is scientific, that is logical, and that is rational.
Yeah, when you put it this way, I really hope if there's anyone watching that is an evolutionist, I hope you listen to what Matt's saying. I know he says it really kind of uses big words and he says it all fancy, but what he's saying, if you break it down, I mean, it makes complete sense. And it doesn't make sense to believe that everything came from nothing, just like Dr. Kelvin said. How could all that water, like you were pointing out, come from a single proton? It just...
You're shaking your head through incredulity. You think it's ridiculous, but it's a poor point for reasons I explained earlier.
Come on. It just sounds so stupid when you put it, Matt.
It's like Hitler said. He said, make the lie big, make it simple, keep on saying it, and eventually they will believe it. So it's a big lie.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this. Make the lie big and keep it simple. Okay, Matt Powell has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard, which he names Dr. Peel. I must remember to keep repeating that.
Yeah, it's a huge lie, and people do believe it.
As I'm growing older, and even when I was a kid, I was questioning it. It's just hard for me to believe that there's a man in the sky, he's God. It just didn't make much sense to me.
That doesn't make any sense because that's not actually what Christianity teaches. That's not what the Bible teaches at all. It doesn't teach that there's a man in the sky. The Bible actually says that God is invisible.
Makes much more sense. By the way, Matt Powell has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard, which he names Dr. Peel.
It says that Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God. So God is not the man in the sky. He is invisible. And, he's not confined by time, space, and matter. The law of cause and effect states that for everything that comes into existence, there is a cause. Well, we know that the universe came into existence billions of years ago, according to an evolutionist. Now, let's just pretend that that's true. Even if that were the case, the cause of the universe, if it created time, it must be outside of time. If it created matter, it must be outside of matter. If it created space, it must be able to operate outside of space. Those three attributes are the attributes that we attribute to God.
You've literally just strawmanned the entire cosmological model.
Moving on.
Everybody has a right to believe in whatever you want to believe in, and I don't think anybody is right or wrong. Let me just say that. I don't think anybody is right or wrong.
Are you right about that? Are you It's pretty easy for anybody to kind of catch on to that, but I'll just state it. So, are you right about that? You say nobody is right or wrong. Well, if you're right, how could you be right if nobody is right? How could you be wrong if nobody is wrong?
Really? You're going to sit there and pick on semantics with this lady? By the way, Matt Powell has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard, which he names Dr. Peel. I've had enough of Matt Powell official at this point. I'm sure he'll be on the phone right now to his buddy Kent Hovind official as they plan the next Weccan Atheist Wednesday. But hey, who cares? Thank you all very much for watching today. It really, truly is appreciated. If you enjoyed it, then please do like and subscribe as well, please, if the feeling takes you. Remember, Matt Powell has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard, which he names Dr. Peel. I have been Sciman Dan. Have yourselves a fantastic week, and I'll see you on Friday for some long-distance flat earth debunking. See you then. Matt Powell has a giant inflatable banana in his backyard which he names Dr. Peel.